Wow! Bonjour encore une fois de plus, soyez les bienvenus sur cette émission French 101 sur votre écran télévisé encore. Avec vous pour cette émission encore, c'est une fois de plus Monsieur Napoléon Bellinga Body sur votre écran encore. Heureux d'être avec vous cette fois-ci encore. Alors, today, again with you on the screen is Napoleon Bellinga Body on French 101, Salvation TV. Alright. I'm hoping that by now you are getting set to call your partners, your learning partners, your friends that are learning together with you on French 101. Take your writing materials and gather yourself there, right in your parlor there, and then learn French on French 101 on Salvation TV. Some time ago, we told you about some lessons, and of course, previously we said about l'heure, how to read time, and we told you that reading time has to do with some kind of steps, some different steps that you need to understand. That is categories to which French reading of time in French is divided into. And I told you 3 steps, it's divided into 3 steps, and I said the first step has to do with top of the time, or top of the hour, after the hour, and of course to the hour. Well, we'll talk about, on top of the time, we'll talk about a formula, and that formula has to do with il est. Okay, the il est there, it means it's, and then you put the R there, and then heure. Of course, we told you something like 2 o'clock, 2:00 hour, you will say il est, what is 2 again? 2, then heure. Of course, at that point you have an expression like il est 2 heures. Okay, if it is 3 o'clock, we say what? Il est 3 heures. If it is 4 o'clock, 4 is 4, so you say il est 4 heures, followed by 5, so il est 5 heures, followed by 6, il est 6 heures, and all that and that. So this time around, we're going to flow into our next lesson, which is going to be very wonderful. This program is loaded on Salvation TV. Please do not miss it. Ne manquez pas. Don't miss the next lesson. It's loaded, very loaded. C'est un programme de télécharger. Ne manquez pas. I want you to recite with me our normal recitation, what I call recitation. Or in French, la récitation. Are you ready to go with me? While you look for whatever you have to use to write your book and your writing materials, go with me as I go. Notre Père, qui est aux cieux, que ton nom soit sanctifié, que ton règne vienne, que ta volonté soit faite, sur la terre comme au ciel. Donne-nous aujourd'hui notre pain de ces jours. Pardonne-nous nos offenses, comme nous aussi nous pardonnons à ceux qui nous ont offensés. Ne nous induis pas à la tentation, mais délivre-nous du mal, car c'est à toi qu'appartiennent le règne, la puissance et la gloire des siècles et des siècles. Amen. Now somebody ask me, what is he saying? If you are just joining us for the first time on French 101, what we've just done here is our Lord's Prayer in French. And of course, we feel it very necessary that this is the opening scene of French 101 on Salvation TV. Okay, today we're going to talk on a very wonderful topic. Let's look at the topic there, right on the screen there. The topic today is titled, of course, if you are a French speaker looking at it or watching this program from the French background, you're going to learn English. A lot of English words you're going to learn. That if you're watching from Nigeria or any other English-speaking countries, the program here is to teach you French on French 101 on Salvation TV. So do not go away. Stay tuned with us. Okay, today our topic is se présenter en français. Se présenter en français. Let me hear you say, se présenter en français. Se présenter en français. Again, se présenter en français. Now, somebody out there will be asking me, what do you mean, French 101, Mr. Napoleon? And I will tell you that se présenter en français means to present oneself in French. This time, I want to narrow it to presenting our own self in French. And so, if you see yourself in a Francophone background, Francophone environment, how do you present yourself? Because the number one thing you need to do when you're in a French environment is to present yourself. Okay? Of course, before this time, you have known how to greet. Greeting that has to do with the bonjour. Okay? Bonjour. Comment ça va? Ça va bien, and all that. When you are through with that, of course, you need to really present yourself. If you want just to look for a way to be helped out in this French environment. And so, what are those words that you need to use to help yourself in a French environment primarily? These words are what we call se présenter ou la présentation. Another author can also as well say s'introduire ou l'introduction, that is introduction, introducing yourself in a French environment. Okay, for today on French 101, I want to say there's some elements you need to understand to be able to introduce yourself. These elements are number one of this element, primarily, of course, you need to know. You need to know what you need to say when you want to present yourself. I am of the opinion that we go by your name first. We go by what? Your name. The next element is your nationality. What the Frenchman would say, la nationalité. What the Frenchman would say what? La nationalité. La nationalité. All right, the next stage, or next element on my list here is your age. What the Frenchman would say, âge. 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 Okay? Then you're looking out for your profession or your occupation. Your occupation or your profession. Your profession is another thing you need to introduce yourself to. When you are talking about introducing yourself in a French environment, one very important thing is if you're probably looking for a job, you need to tell someone of what profession you've engaged yourself in this foreign environment. So your profession is very necessary. And then where you live, of course. What I will, in French 101 or French 101, I'll call it habitation. Your address, I call it what? Habitation. And then your likes and your dislikes. Your likes and your dislikes. So there are some expressions that you need to use in order to, of course, introduce yourself by telling someone your name. And of course, the number one element is on your name is the expression je m'appelle. Je m'appelle. Let me say je m'appelle. Je m'appelle. Pronounce it exactly the way I'm pronouncing it. I said je m'appelle. Je m'appelle. Now, if you are a man, as soon as you say je m'appelle, you can say, if you are a lady, you can say mademoiselle. Then the next thing there is your name. Je m'appelle. If you're a lady, you say mademoiselle. After the expression je m'appelle, the next word is mademoiselle. Mademoiselle. Then your name flows there. If you're a man, if you have the masculine gender, you say je m'appelle monsieur and then your name. Je m'appelle monsieur and then your name. So I am Napoleon. I want to tell you that my name is Napoleon. What do I say? I will say, je m'appelle Monsieur Napoléon. Je m'appelle Monsieur Napoléon. Je m'appelle Monsieur Napoléon. That is non-official. But if I want to go official in introducing my name in an official environment or setting, I will say, je m'appelle Monsieur Napoléon Bellinga Body. That's my name. But if I'm a lady, what do I say? If I'm a lady, I will say, je m'appelle Mademoiselle, then my name flows. For instance, my name happened to be Mary, or my name happened to be Marcel. My name could be Henriette. Okay? And I'll say, je m'appelle. Of course, as a lady, I'll say, je m'appelle Mademoiselle Mary. Je m'appelle Mademoiselle Marie, if I am to do it or pronounce it in French version. Marie. Okay? All right. And a popular name, of course, in Nigerian setting, there's this popular name. They say, that name is Ngozi. Okay. You say, je m'appelle, as a lady, you say, Mademoiselle, and then Ngozi. Je m'appelle Mademoiselle Ngozi. Of course. I haven't known that if you are a man, you will say, je m'appelle Monsieur and your name. If you're a lady, you say, je m'appelle Mademoiselle and your name. Are you ready to go? I want to engage in that exercise there now, right away. On your parlor, if you're there watching at me on French 101, you will say, if you're a lady, you say, je m'appelle Mademoiselle, and then flow your name. If you're a man, a boy, je m'appelle Monsieur, then flow your name. We're going to do it together. Can we go together now? Okay? 1, to go. Je m'appelle Monsieur Napoleon. That was a very wonderful exercise. Okay, let's go to the next stage of what we are doing there in the introduction of oneself. Okay, là, c'est présenté en français. La nationalité, of course, in English is nationality. In French is la nationalité. La nationalité. La nationalité, of course, in English veut dire nationality. Okay, nationality. Your nationality here is very important for one to understand. Your nationality, are you a Nigerian? Are you an American? Are you a Frenchman? Who are you? What nationality are you? Of course, before we go to that stage, I have to tell you something very important. Now, in French is gender-based language. French always tell you that if you are talking to a man, it's a masculine gender. If you are talking to a female, it's female gender. Of course, that's where you will be seen with time on French 101, le sexe féminin et le sexe masculin. You're going to see that and all that with time. For today, I want to tell you that if you are a man and you want to tell me, for instance, that you are a Nigerian, of course, you have to tell me Nigerian. What do I say? Nigerian. Nigerian. Of course, I've told you, talking about the nationality in French, you have to say je suis. And what is je suis? Je suis veut dire I am. Je suis veut dire I am. Just as you can see right on your screen there, je suis means I am. I am from where? The nationality comes in. Of course, if you're a Nigerian like me, I will say je suis Nigerian. Je suis Nigerian. Of course, when in French pronunciation, of course, I will tell you with time, but for now, as a Nigerian, when your nationality is ending with an, of course, a vowel, a consonant at the end, that last consonant is not pronounced. Is somebody listening to me? Am I communicating really? Okay, I said, as a Nigerian and a man, you say, je suis Nigérian. Je suis Nigerian. But if you're a lady, of course, in your pronunciation and in your autograph, the autograph would be with an addition of E at the end. That's the reason why you're seeing that E at the end there. Okay? Now, if you say you are a lady and you want to tell us you are Nigerian, you say, je suis Nigériane. Je suis Nigériane. Je suis Nigériane. At this point, if you observe me very well, in my pronunciation, my N is now pronounced. But if you're a man, you're a Nigerian, your pronunciation of the N at the last point there is silence. I will say at that point that le N est silence at that end there. So the Frenchman understands you, even if you're speaking on phone, the moment you say, je suis Nigérien, the Frenchman already know that this person is a male talking. The moment you say, je suis Nigériane, 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 you have told this man, even if he has not seen you, he's not seeing you, he's seen you as a female because you have put the N for him there. And that E there is silence. That E only permits you to pronounce the last consonant. So if that is the case, you are a Frenchman, you want to tell us you are a Frenchman. You say what? A man. You say, je suis français. What if you are a Senegalese? You say what? Je suis sénégalais. Of course, if you are a female, the E will still come and play. And by the time the E comes in and you are a Cameroonian, and you are a Senegal, or you are whatever, a French person, you say, je suis, for instance, française. Française. Française you're pronouncing there is with S, with E at the end there. A man will be français, and a woman will be what? Française. Of course, we'll be talking about adjective qualificative in our subsequent lesson. You will understand this better. Of course, for now, I want to let us understand, as a Nigerian, I will say, je suis Nigérien, as a man. Je suis what? Nigérien. Je suis Nigérien. Let me say, je suis Nigérian. That's good. That's good to hear from you. And if you're a woman, what do you say? Je suis Nigériane. Je suis Nigériane. That is, you are a female. You are introducing yourself. You have said your name. You've told the Frenchman your name. You've introduced your nationality. Okay. The next thing is, of course, your age. Now see yourself in a French embassy, and they want to ask you one or two questions because you want to obtain a visa to travel to France. And at that point, of course, your age must come to play. Of course, in telling someone your age in French, of course, in English, please take note. In English, you will say, I am. Whatever is your age, you put it there. But in French, you don't say I am, but you say I have. Funny, very funny language. You don't say I am, but you say I have. For instance, you are, for instance, maybe 20 years, and you want to tell somebody you're 20 years, you tell someone, I have 20 years. I have 20 years. And what is I have in French? I have in French is j'ai. Let me say j'ai. J'ai. As soon as you say j'ai, then the next word there is your age. And what is your age? Put your age there and you put un. The un there is the age there, the years. I am, of course in English, I am 20 years. The years there is represented by the A-N-S there that you see on your screen there. And that is pronounced un. No S is silence. Of course, there is no E at the end of that S. So the S is always silent there. So your S is not pronounced. So what you do is un. Of course, if you're 20 years, you say j'ai. What is 20? We have told you that on Salvation TV, of course, French 101, we've told you that 20 in French is 20. Okay, what about you out there that is looking at me? That is 10 years. What is 10? 10 is 10. What about 11? 11. What about 12? 12. Followed by 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. You know your age there. So you say j'ai and then your age there and then you put what on. Of course, if I want to tell you my age, okay, I will tell you j'ai 30 ans. J'ai 30 ans. J'ai 30 ans. Of course, 30 there, of course, is 30. That is 30 and then years there. And the years, my years there is un. Of course, if you want to say it, you say j'ai, then the age there, you put it and then un. You've been able to express yourself in terms of telling the Frenchman your age. The next thing is your profession. Your profession. Are you a student? Of course, student is étudiant. If you are a man, étudiant. If you are a female, is étudiante. Étudiant and étudiante. Étudiant and étudiante. Of course, you hear me say étudiant with T at the end, but I did not pronounce it. But you hear me say étudiante. When I say étudiante, of course, the law also still hold. You put E at the end. Of course, at that point, you know that this is a female addressing herself as a student. So you have étudiant and étudiante. Now, who is étudiant and who is étudiante? The man is étudiant and the woman is étudiante. So I am a male. So I will say, by my profession, I will say, je suis étudiant. Je suis étudiant. If you are a female, what do you say? Étudiante. Étudiante where? You are étudiante where? Je suis étudiant à l'université de Port Harcourt. Je suis étudiant à l'université de Port Harcourt. I am a student in the University of what? Port Harcourt. That's what I'm talking about there. So if you are not a student of University of Port Harcourt, of course you are probably a University of Calabar, University of Paris Saint-Germain. You say, je suis étudiant or étudiante à l'Université de Paris Saint-Germain. Okay, if you're étudiante anywhere in Paris, you say, je suis étudiant à Paris, à l'Université de Paris. If you're étudiant in places like Senegal, étudiant à l'Université du Sénégal, of course, je suis étudiant, then the name of your university or your school will come in. Of course, for those of us who are watching us around here, around Port Harcourt, around the Niger Delta, of course, if you are, for instance, a student in the secondary school, a school like Hokma International Secondary School, it's all the same. Je suis étudiant à Hokma. Okay? It ends it there. All right? That's it. Okay. What if you are a student with a school like Berton and all that? Say, je suis étudiant de Berton. Okay? Je suis étudiant, and then the name of your school will now come in to play. So you take that and then exercise on that. The next thing on my screen I want to talk about on my lesson note here is where you live. Of course, some author can call it your address. Of course, I prefer, because French 101 is watched all over, and some people who are watching French or listening to French lessons for the first time in their life. And so I want to come with this clear term by saying, at this point, instead of address, I'll say habitation. Habitation is where you live. Where do I live? What do you say? We want to tell somebody where you live. What do you say here? You will say, j'habite, j'habite, j'habite. Meaning what? I live. Okay? J'habite. I didn't say j'habite. Please, note me very well. I am simply pronouncing my last T because there's an E there attached to the T. The last consonant is only pronounced when there's an E attached to it. And of course, that's why you see j'habite. Of course, if that E is not there, I will silent the T there. But since the E is there, I will say j'habite. J'habite where? À Port Harcourt. J'habite à Port Harcourt. J'habite à Port Harcourt means what? I live in Port Harcourt. On that note, you now say j'habite and then put the address of where you are living. All right. So, j'habite à Port Harcourt. I live in Port Harcourt. What if you live in France? What do you say? J'habite à France. Hein? J'habite en France. S'il te plaît, please. En France. J'habite en France. At this point, when I say en France, I have removed the A and I replace the A with EN. Of course, the EN is going to be replacing the A. Okay? J'habite en France. J'habite en France. J'habite à Libreville. J'habite au Sénégal. J'habite au Ghana. J'habite. The moment you say j'habite, the next thing is tell us the name of the place you are living. Okay? That's it. The next thing there on my note and lesson note is what do you like and what do you dislike? Okay? In liking and disliking, it has its own expression. Of course, you are in a francophone environment, there is not everything you like. There are certain things you like and there are certain things you may not like. Mostly when it comes to eating. Certain things you like. Of course, I know everybody like rice and chicken. And so I want to say, the expression that goes with liking something is j'aime. Let me hear you say j'aime. 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 That was a very good one. J'aime. Okay. J'aime. On my screen, I say le riz et poulet. J'aime le riz et poulet. J'aime le riz et poulet. J'aime le riz et poulet. And what is le riz et poulet? Le riz et poulet is rice and chicken. Rice and chicken. J'aime le riz et le poulet. Le riz et poulet. Of course, j'aime le riz et poulet. J'aime le sport. J'aime le chocolat. J'aime la salade. So these are things I like. You may not like this. So by the time I am able to say j'aime in French, I'll mention the name of what I like that I want to eat. For instance, I'm seeing myself in a restaurant, in an hotel. I want to order food, and the food I want to eat, I like eating is rice and chicken. I'll say j'aime le riz et poulet. J'aime le riz et poulet. Of course, if I want to go for activity, in the field of activity, I can say j'aime le sport. Le sport, like le football, le tennis. J'aime. Whatever it is j'aime, and then mention that thing I like. Because the word j'aime there has to do with the verb to like or to love. Of course, even if you want to tell somebody you love somebody, you say j'aime, then the name of the person. For instance, I have my student that I used to like so well. I love him so well because at all time when we are on the studio, he is one of my partners here, of course, in my crew. He is Stephen by name. And when I see him on the console there, I always tell him, Stephen, j'aime. Hein? Je l'aime, c'est Stephen. J'aime. Ta manière, I like your way of doing something. I love your way of doing something. So, j'aime now comes in. J'aime Stephen. J'aime Stéphane. Of course, Stéphane is a French version of what? Stephen. J'aime Stéphane. J'aime le riz et poulet. J'aime le sport. J'aime le chocolat. Of course, chocolat is a chocolate. J'aime la salade. I also love or like a salad. But the most important thing you need to understand on this expression is what? J'aime. j'aime. Let me hear you say, j'aime. Encore, j'aime. Encore, j'aime. Of course. I here love my papa in the Lord. If I can walk up to him, I'll tell him, j'aime, papa, il veut mieux. Am I right? J'aime, papa, il veut mieux. J'aime, maman, il veut mieux. J'aime. The important thing is j'aime, and then the name of the person comes in there. And the next thing is your dislike. What are those things you dislike? Okay? The ones you dislike can also go with this expression that I have on the screen there, and that expression is je déteste. Je déteste. Je déteste. What are those things you detest? And detest at this point is talking about detest. Okay? So, je déteste. Let me say je déteste. Je déteste la maladie. Je déteste la maladie. What is la maladie? La maladie is a sickness. Je déteste la maladie, sickness. Je déteste la pauvreté, poverty. Et je déteste la souffrance and suffering. Okay? These are things that I eat. And I don't like these things. And so you have all these steps to go about. So the first step, like I told you, your name, that has to go with je m'appelle, mademoiselle or monsieur, then your name, la nationalité, you have to go by je suis Nigérian or Nigériane, your age, j'ai, your age there, and the profession has to do with je suis étudiant or étudiante. Habitation, which is where you live, has to do with what? J'habite à Port Harcourt, or your like or dislike has to do with j'aime, whatever it is, and the dislike has to do with what? Je déteste, whatever. Our topic today was a very interesting one, of course. It was titled, of course, like you know. The title is Se présenter en français. And we said is to present yourself or oneself. And we told you about some expressions that has to do with your name, your nationality, your age, your profession, your habitation, your likes and your dislike, of course. And each of these etape that I call the stages or steps that has to do with your presentation or presenting yourself has to do with their particular expressions. And of course, by the time you say name, it is an expression, and all other etaps, the nationality, your age, and all other steps have their own word expressions. Please follow this expression, and then French learning become very easy. You'll be able to introduce yourself in French. And so, do not forget, if you have something written down, of course, learn with it. If you have questions to ask your partner. And of course, gradually, with this French 101 very loaded program, you're going to learn. Une fois de plus, je m'appelle M. Napoléon Beningabori pour cette émission télévisée. Napoléon sur votre écran téléviseur. Merci bien et au revoir.